What's up, y'all? Welcome into the LA Sports Brotherhood. It's me, Ryan, here with my brother Matthew, and we are officially less than 10 hours away from the start of free agency. And we all know that actual free agency and discussions have been going on for probably 2 months now, but we will start seeing deals officially from free agents that are not re signing. And the Lakers all of a sudden can be a player in free agency. We've heard some things about LeBron heavily considering taking a pay cut to create more money, and that's great. This video right now is operating as if he took the max. So, for context, with that scenario, the Lakers have the $5 million not taxpayer MLE, and that's it. They could sign vet minimums after that. So this list may not feel inspiring, but it's absolutely necessary, and we do need to hit on at least a few signings. So, with that being said, Matt, we have a pretty full roster right now. I think that's going to change, which is why we're doing this. But with the roster we have currently, what holes are we looking to fill in free agency?
Yeah, so I think the most gaping hole, like you don't have it, is the backup center,
Yeah.
and I think honestly they very well could use that Emily to get a center. I think a wing is another option. I mean, you can never have enough wings, obviously. Guards. The thing is, you just drafted a guard. If D'Lo stays, if Reeves stays, Vincent's back. Like you have two guys on under contract already. Technically three because the D'Lo is opting in. We don't know about the trade. Let's say he opts in. You already have the starting backcourt. You have Vincent, and then you have two young guys, Christie and Connect, that could battle for the two. So I think you're okay on guards. So I think center, you just don't have a backup center, and then you're looking to sign a wing. Honestly, as for names, center wise, I'm kind of just looking at Drummond and Jonas or
Mm-hmm.
Jonas. Sorry, excuse me. Um, Wings, there's a lot of cheaper options like Torrey Craig, Robert Covington, a couple old guys that I think would fit the need, would help out the team. So I'll shoot it back to you. Let's look at the MLE 5 mil. Would you spend that on a center or a wing or a guard? Where would you look to spend that? And who, if you have a name in mind?
I I'm glad you set the question up like this. I'm not spending any non minimum stuff on guards. Um,
Yeah.
with this, if we open up more cap space, different scenario. But again, we're not acknowledging that right now. We can get Kyle Lowry or Chris Paul on a minimum. I don't think we'll get either of them, but like those names, they could be the backup one, assuming we make trades again. Because you said five names: D'Lo, Reeves, Connect, Christie. Oh, only four names. I said five because we didn't even
And
mention Jalen Hood Shafino, who is the second year first round pick from last year. So I don't yet no guards, but I would rather spend the 5 mil on a center because you can probably get someone that's more quality for 5 million at the center position compared to a wing. So like I have some forward names, forward/wings. Torian Prince, who we don't need to worry, we could pay $5 million besides the MLE, which I want us to do. I want to bring Prince back. Technically, Christie's a free agent, but he's going to be here. They've been talking about the whatever, so he's back. But Nick Batum, Kyle Anderson, Gordon Hayward, maybe Caleb Martin. I think he's out of the price range. I think Batum actually might be out of the price range too. Kyle Anderson should be out, but around 5-ish mil. Sadiq Bey, I would love, but he's recovering from an ACL. So if we can get him for the minimum somehow, I would love that. But Torrey Craig, like you said, Simone Fontecchio is an interesting fit because he was solid for the Jazz, and he was like solid enough to get them an asset when they traded him to the Pistons, and then the Pistons are just unbelievable. And Najee Marshall again, like you said, like if those guys are MLE level players, like money wise, I don't want them. I would rather like going to the bigs. Drummond should be a minimum guy still. His minimum is basically the MLE anyway. His minimum is like 3.5 mil. So he's my first choice. Jonas, I don't think you can get on a min, even though he would also be around 3 mil. So I would give the 5 to him. And then after that, we got guys like Robert Covington, who is a big, despite his size and what people want to say, he's a big, and I wouldn't really spend that much. I would take him on a minimum. Dario Saric, another guy who actually played solidly enough for the Warriors. He could fill in a little bit. And then it's kind of just horrible. Gogo Badatse is the only, like a guy that I guess can play. Rashawn Holmes was a bench warmer on the Wizards. Mo Wagner is going to be out of the price range. And JaVale McGee is still in the NBA. And Jalen Smith, who I think will get even more than the 5 mil. I do like him a lot, the backup center for the Pacers. He's 6'10". He's a legit 3-point shooter and a shot blocker. I would take him. But yeah, I rattled off a bunch of names. That's kind of what we're looking at for agency wise if we don't open up our pockets. And it's not great, but I do think the only genuine, true thing we need to hit on in free agency is backup center, like a big backup center, because Jackson Hayes opted in, and I'm super cool with him being our third string guy. It's fine. Or even Christian Wood, but I would prefer Hayes. I think you need
Yeah,
to hit on Drummond or Jonas. Go ahead.
yeah. I think because the thing for me is those wings you mentioned. I would like all of them as a player, but you can already spend the 5 mil and not use MLB on a wing in Torin Prince, and
Yeah.
he's not a lengthy athletic wing, but none of those guys are that much better than him. If they are even better, some of those guys are worse than Prince. So you get Prince, and then you use that 5 mil for Jonas. I think that's huge. Then you have a legit, like a good backup center,
Yeah.
a physical backup center, which would really be useful. I mean, that guy is strong. He is a strong man. Him and Adams probably the strongest guys in the league. He shoots a little bit. You know, he's starting to shoot more. I was so confused why he didn't play against us in the play-in. That I don't know what they're doing there, but that's besides the point. So just the way of looking at it for me is how many contracts do you have? Like how many guys that are not minimums? And none of the starters would be minimums. You'd have Gabe Vincent on a full MLE. You'd be able to bring Prince back from the previous MLE, and then you get another MLE center. Suddenly, you're shaping up like a legit, like really good roster. Like we forget, the starting lineup last year was great. Like it was genuinely really good, that starting five. If you trade D'Lo, they're not gonna do a bad trade. You know, I have faith in Pelinka enough for that. So it would be somewhat of an upgrade. So if you get this backup center solidified, Vando comes back, maybe Connect or Christie can add something. Vincent improves, and Torian Prince back. You're legit looking at like a 10-man rotation that's actually good. And we talked about this. I just want continuity. I want a team that will know the rotation from day one, that will have an offensive scheme, and that can just make the playoffs. That's all I want. I just want stability and to make the playoffs. When it's February, when it's March, I want to know for a fact my team will play in the first round of the playoffs because it's the past 2 years have been too chaotic, and I think it if you hit on an MLE to get a good backup center, I think that's actually huge for the team.
Yeah. 100%. I really like the way you put it. Like, you could already spend $5 million on a wing just by bringing Torian Prince back. That's exactly how they should look at it. You could, like you said, we need more than as many non-minimum contracts as we can have. Not just because usually it means they're better players, but also because you need to be able to trade things. If you have the reason the big three stuff was so bad for the Lakers and why the roster to start 21, 20, no, excuse me, 22, 23 when we made the D'Lo trade is that we had no non-minimum contracts. It was LeBron, it was AD, it was Russ, and Lonnie Walker, and every other player was a minimum contract. It was despicable and it was disgusting. And then we were able to break it down and get where we are now. But that is the thing. You need non-minimum contracts. You see, we talked about this multiple times on the show actually. The Mavs trading for PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford is because they had contracts that were like 5 million, 7 million, 6 million. Like they had guys they could send out at that level so they don't have to be like, oh, well, we only have Russell Westbrook. He makes 44 million. I'm sorry. Like that's not, like this doesn't help anything. So yeah, we covered the centers, kind of wing talk. I think D'Lo should, if he's traded, if we trade for anything that's like an actual roster like legit changing move, it's going to be for a wing. So I don't, like we were saying, I don't want us to spend any assets there. But assuming we do make a move, and if it's for someone that makes more than $20 million, it's going to be multiple players, which means Gabe Vincent's probably the next one to go. I would actually say for sure Gabe Vincent's the next one to go. And let's say in this scenario where the Lakers know they're going to be moving off multiple guards, so they actually are looking at guards in the free agent market. What is there anybody that's even like interesting to you? I'll list some names off if you don't know. Okay, so Markelle Fultz is theoretically available. DeAnthony Melton is not a minimum player, but he could be around for the $5 million. Chris Paul, Kyle Lowry, like we said. Alec Burks, Cam Payne, and Spencer Dinwiddie. That's kind of like the guys that are in our market right now. Any of those guys, like, would you want them even on the roster?
I mean, I would want Melton on the roster.
Yeah, I get it.
If Chris Paul said, "Hey, LeBron, I love you. I want to take a minimum. I'll be the backup point guard." I would love it. He'd be a good backup point guard.
Mm-hmm.
But any amount of money, when you are limited with contracts, if you spend more than the minimum on a position where you have like 6 guys, I'd honestly be upset. But minimum Chris Paul, come and play with us.
Yeah, I yeah, I mean that's really it. I'll take Chris. I'm looking at Valanciunas' stat page right now. Sorry, that's why I'm slightly distracted. His
Yeah,
minutes were cut pretty severely. Go ahead.
I think we can kind of see the structure of this offseason where it's like the MLE used for the center, that's solidified. The D'Lo situation, I'll say, will solidify the starting lineup. It'll either be the same one and he's our point guard,
Yeah.
or we'll upgrade somewhere else and upgrade the starting lineup. So I think if LeBron, we said if LeBron, we're expecting him to take the max. If he doesn't take the max, then we're looking really, really well. So I think wing wise, I think it's either bring Taurean Prince back or LeBron actually takes the minimum. We upgrade there. Guard wise, it's either gonna be D'Lo or we trade, and then center is gonna be the MLE, the $5 million MLE.
Yeah, 100%. My ideal, we can go over this together or like individually. My ideal offseason, I'm not gonna say player names because it's frankly, if it's a Laker move, there's not gonna be leaks about it. It's just straight up like it's gonna be a trade we don't expect. But it's sign. I will say 2 names here: Drummond or Valanciunas. I don't think they're perfect players. Drummond like cannot play with AD 1 second, but if he's in for 15 minutes, he'll grab literally 13 boards. Like he's so anyway, yeah. Drummond or Jonas as a backup center. Sign Taurean Prince back. That is part of my ideal offseason. Max Christie is going to be back, but I'll say re-sign him. Trade D'Lo and another guard for a wing that can start on this team and push Rui to the bench. Or I guess if you trading Rui, then get like a really good player. But I want Rui to be here. And then sign a vet backup point guard. And that's it. I think this team is really good. I think this team has the bones to be very good. And if we're seeing a starting lineup of Reeves I guess it would be Reeves, insert guy here, whoever we trade for, LeBron, AD. I guess you could even play Rui together. You could play Vando with it. Like, there's a lot of there's optionality here. It's just, I need the D'Lo trade, if it happens, to be for a wing and a wing only. Unless you're getting an elite point guard, which doesn't exist for the D'Lo market, and I accept 0 centers in that trade. If D'Lo gets traded for a wing, a 3-and-D wing specifically, I think we can really cook this offseason. But yeah, it all starts with not spending money where you don't need to.
Yeah, honestly, I honestly 100% I agree. Like that's my same thing with the centers, Prince, backup point guard, and the trade because I think you have probably a 10-man rotation. You have offense, you have defense. If the wing is like actually that good of a defender, 80 is obviously incredible. You'd have size the backup position. You know, rebounds wouldn't be as much of a problem because of that. I think the defense would be upgrade. I think the shooting would upgrade. I just think overall you're a better team. So I'll ask you this: that what exactly what you said happens, and to a T, like you're legit thrilled about that. JJ Redick hires a veteran staff, a staff you feel good about, and we start the season. We have movement. We have a legit like offense. Like you can see it, and the guys are driving. Do
Hmm.
you think that's enough to win a championship? Like enough to be okay? We're a top 3 to 4 seed, and we're one of the favorites, and you could realistically see them winning it all.
Yeah, this is how I'll put it. I think there is a legitimate, realistic path to this offseason where at the end, Laker fans can confidently say we are a championship contender. That's what I think can happen.
Yeah, I agree. I think again, it's all just make the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like how many more times can we be the 10 seed in like January and thinking, okay, if we just get together, we can get a push.
Yeah.
I really think that having the 3 seed, getting a home game, not having to play the play-in, I seriously think that can help us in the playoff run. Not having to play a play-in game and play every single series as a road team.
Yeah.
And the offseason we just laid out, it has some stability like as a team to be a good regular season team. That's my focus right now. Be a good regular season team, get to the playoffs, then you make your run.
Yeah.
And
That's the
I think
yeah.
this type of offseason brings like stability.
Yeah, that's the most upsetting part. Well, I mean, 22-23 was its own thing. Like there was no way it was going to be like, oh, we're a good regular season team. But for parts of the last two seasons, we've had extended stretches like over multiple months where it's like, yeah, we're an elite regular season team. In it was a last year. It's like from the end of the year, literally half the season, 41 games in, they were winning at like a 600 winning percentage pace. But because it was so damn stupid to start the year and the middle was literally horrendous that we could never appreciate that. We have elite regular season team potential. And obviously it's not what we're aiming for, but being an elite regular season team, being a top 5 4 seed team in the West drastically changes the outlook of winning. So we do need to be striving for that still. It's not the end goal, but that needs to be a goal. 7th seed BS, play in BS, that's not cool anymore. Never was cool. It was fun. It was like exciting, especially in 2023 when the team was awful and we made the trade and it's like, oh, new life. Last year was miserable. Last year was the least fun I've had watching a team in a very long time, including the first Russ year, even though that is the worst. Like it, but we've gone over that. Don't need to belabor the point. The point of all of this is offseason starts today. As you're watching this, especially if you're watching around the time we release it, like we are going to start hearing rumors, literally like leaked deals that are going to get tampering cases. It's happening, and the Lakers have the avenue to be incredibly involved in a very meaningful way, and I hope it happens. But even if it's not, we'll be here through it all. Thanks for watching. Go Lakers.